Alright, let's go ahead and start on the barrel here. I'm going to click this. Right click, hide unselected. I'm going to hit my Z key. Actually, I'm going to go to perspective, hit my Z key. Alright, hit F4. I got to have my edges turned on, back on. As you can see, this barrel here I actually collapsed. So I right clicked, collapsed the edible poly with my turbo smooth on it. Usually when you have a high res model, your texture, and you want to texture at its high res form, makes it a lot easier. Especially, because if you texture it low, then throw a turbo smooth on it, it's going to add all these extra polys that weren't accounted for, and then you get some jacked up maps. Alright, so in this case, I'm going to grab this shader here, and we'll call this oil drum. Alright, same process. Let's put our color map or diffuse map, bitmap. I'm clicking on bitmap there, and then we got rust diffuse. Open that up. I'm going to go to my parent level, show maps and viewports, and I'm just going to click and drag that right on there. And chances are, if it does do a pretty good map of it right off the bat, you probably, well, in this case, yeah, we got some tiling going on. So I'm actually going to throw a UV map on it. I'm going to make it a cylinder. There we go. That looks pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and collapse that. And then we got to worry about the tops and the bottoms here, which are really jacked up. Even though that's a really rusty barrel there. So I'm going to hit my edges back on, F4, and we're going to go ahead and go to our polygon modes. And a couple things I can do. I can actually just, select these polys right here, and I'm going to try to knock these out at the same time. So I'm going to select these, and technically I should have, if I was to really model this right, I would have probably detached that, so we just had to do one face and not the turbo section of it. But that's alright. We're going to go ahead and hit grow, 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 grow. We're going to keep clicking that until we get to the top of the barrel, and I think that's fine, and we got both top and bottom. So we're just going to use a planer on this. So I'm going to UV map, and the planer goes right through both of them and looks pretty good. I'm going to hit F4 so we don't, we can see it. That looks pretty good, and there we go. Dirty old crappy rusted barrel, which looks a little way rusty. Now, of course, we have that seam right there, but, like I said, we're just procedural right now. We can hide that based off the render or how we angle it. So I'm going to click on that, and let's go ahead and lock that in place. Collapse to. I'm going to hit yes. I'm going to unhide everything now. And, it looks like we have our texture on there. But now we got to actually put our bump and our speck on that texture. So, from here, let's go back to our map slot. We're on this shader oil drum. Turn on my specular, and we're going to go look for that map. Bitmap, rusty metal specular. There we go. Now it's going to kind of heat up a little bit, the hot spots. Let's go back to our parent level. Turn on our bump. Hit the none slot, bitmap, and let's look for our bump. Rusty bump. And now this will kind of get all weird, bumpy looking. There you go. Whoops, we are going back to the parent level, and I'm going to close this out. Now, since it's already on there, it pretty much updated. But if you want to play it safe, since we collapsed the texture on there, we can just easily drag that, and it'll work. Which is neat, because that's why we collapse textures. Look, for example, I'm right-click, unhide all. This is all selected. Now, if I threw that brick texture, it's going to remember the mapping coordinates we did. So I'm going to throw that brick, and you can see it's a perfectly laid down brick texture based off of how we mapped it. Now I can go back and come back and drag that on there, and it still works the same way because the mapping coordinates have been locked into place. That's why we collapse too. And if you need to change things, just remap it, UV, and drop it back on and adjust things. Alright, so I'm going to unhide all. We got our bump speculars on there. I'm going to go to my camera view, and let's just I'm gonna X out of this and just give it a quick render. Alright, and as you can see, our, at least these look good. The ground looks really crummy. And I'm going to check my shadows out right here. So that's kind of jumping off. So let's go to our bias on our light and see what's the problem here. I'm going to click on that. And let's go to our bias is at 0.1. That's interesting. Let me go 0.01. And you know what, we're going to scoot that light up a little bit. So I'm going to actually grab this and bring it up. And I'm going to lower this down just a bit. And as you can see, our hotspots and fallouts, I'm going to crank those up. Almost, crank them up just a bit. Alright, I'm going to click on that brick wall, hit Z. And I'm going to frame up on this just a little bit more. And render this out one last time to see how our shadows are looking on that wall. And looks like our shadows now are good. They're connected. Alright, now one thing I do not like that the concrete texture. Now this is the neat thing, like even though it's not a a seamless texture on the concrete ground, but since we're scaling up this close and we'll probably never see it, I can always remap that. I'm going to UV map that. I'm going to throw a planer on it. I'm going to fit it. And, watch, if I hide unselected, you can see what we got here. I'm going to go ahead and go to my gizmo and just slightly scale that in. And like I said, we'll probably never see it anyways, because we're outside of this little area. So I'm going to unhide all. We'll never see that because I'm so zoomed in. And I'm going to scale that just a bit. Now don't get me wrong, if you're doing game textures and stuff, you'll want your stuff seamless. This, for a still render like this, like I said, we'll never see it. It looks fine. So I'm going to go ahead and re-render that. And I just wanted our tours to be a little bit tighter there. That looks a lot better on our concrete there. Alright, you know what? And just because I'm picky, I'm going to go to my light. Go to my light right here, and I'm going to crank up the temperature to 10. Go back to my perspective, and let's just do a quick render. I want to spread my shadows off a bit. I want the shadow to bleed. There we go. It looks a lot better now. Alright, so next step is our dresser here. Alright, we're just going to go ahead and finish up that dresser here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and X out of here. I'm going to click on my dresser here, right click, hide unselected, hit Z, and what I'm going to do is actually make sure I grab these elements here, and I guess it's fine, I don't have to worry about them now. I'm going to grab the element of the dresser, which is the whole dresser itself. And this is, like I said, it's pretty much a box. But yeah, we do got a lot of details in here that we might have to adjust. So we'll see how it works out. I'm going to hit my M key. Let's go to a new shader. We'll call this dresser. Alright. And then let's go to our diffuse slot. And I believe bitmap. I have the diffuse, but I didn't create the bump or the spec, which is fine. We can always do it later, but I'm going to go ahead and click on my diffuse. I'm going to open it up. Show maps and viewport. Make sure that's turned on. And notice we have sub-object level, as long as the show maps and viewport are on the main one, that'll work. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and click drag. There we go. Right off the bat, it doesn't look too bad. But, obviously it's got some stretching going on. So let's go ahead and select that element. We have the texture on it. Let's go UV map. UVW map. And we're going to make this a box because technically that is a box. And it looks pretty good right off the bat, you know. Wow, that one did a good job. But, you know, of course, if we really look in here, we might have some stretching, which sometimes it just works, you know. Alright, that looks pretty good. I'm actually just gonna... Oh, wow, we didn't have to do anything on that one. And that's just due to good, you know, typology and good modeling. Alright, let's go ahead and lock that in place. I'm gonna collapse too, hit yes. And you know what? Let's go ahead and take care of the inside. So I'm gonna actually hide these. Oops, let's go. Let's bring it back. We're gonna have to actually I'm gonna click these windows here. I'm gonna detach them. We'll call these windows. That way I can hide that section and then just work with these elements here. So I'm gonna grab this element, this element, this element, and this element. I can do it all at once or one at a time. I'm going to go ahead and drag these right onto it, and those being perfectly pretty good boxes. But let's go ahead and UV map just that little section inside. So I'm going to UV map them. Let's go box and fit, and it looks pretty good, you know, even though they're all the same texture. That's kind of noticeable. We can always collapse these and kind of change these up a little bit, each one individually. So I can grab that one, you know, just UV map that just to reposition. I'm gonna go box because, like I said, it is a box in there, and I'm gonna rotate just that map on that one this way, and I'll fit it on there. That way, you know, we reversed it so it's not the same. I can collapse that on there. And you know, maybe I'll do this second one, or whatever, second one from the bottom. UV map that. Let's go box because it is a box, and then I'm gonna take my gizmo and just spin it around this way. Hit fit. Collapse too. And there we go. We have, you know, we just kind of changed them up a little bit. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just, you know, use the same. I'm going to grab the elements of the doorknobs, and we're just going to slap that texture, just drop it right on there. You know, I don't want to put no chrome or brass knobs or anything. Yeah, I'm just going to drag that right on there. Let's see how those turned out. We might have to UV map those. Let's see, UV map, we'll just go with a box. Fit. Let's go ahead and render that out and see what it looks like. Doesn't look too bad, even though I probably, you know, like I said, this is just for a demonstration. I didn't care about, you know, really texturing that too awesome or anything. Right click, collapse to. Alright, and now I'm going to unhide everything. You know, obviously we got glass windows to take care of. So I want to introduce you to something else, which is your matte libs. So we got our windows. I'm going to right click, hide unselected, and I'm just working with these windows here. Now they are a transparent shader, but they're not a true glass shader. So I'm going to go open up me a ray trace material that has you know, glass shaders. Now you can find these shaders in digitalvamp.com, and let me see, let me launch that up. Let's move this over here a bit. Now if you go down to textures and lighting, even though this is updating every week because I'm restructuring this, but for the week 3 part 1 procedural texturing and UVW maps, you have some ray trace materials you can save, and these are all pre-made shaders, which are awesome. But definitely you want to get the ray trace 1s and 2s because those are supposed to be standard with Macs. I'm going to go ahead and I download those, so I'm going to actually minimize this and bring it back over here. I'm going to click on a blank shader, go to standard, and we are going to open up a new library, open material library, and we're going to go look for that shader, those shaders, which I put them in here in my MATLibs folder. And we'll go, I think, ray trace one. I'm going to open them up. Notice we have a bunch of shaders, and we have glass, gloss, chrome white, all that good stuff. So you know what, I'm gonna actually view these a little bit bigger so you can probably see what they look like. And I'm assuming we can, you would think there was a, I don't know, with the 2011 there might be a, I don't know if there's a, can we make these bigger? I have not found that out yet, guys, so I'm kind of new to the 2011 interface. But I do see we have a glass clear ray trace material, so I'm going to double click that. There goes our glass material. If you see it, it's got a nice index refraction. The bigger the refraction, the more, well, actually tighter it gets. You know, the lower the refraction, the more it spreads it out. You know, what if it's like, if you're, you know, like the fishbowl effect, or if you know, the magnifying effect, you look at it one side, your eyes get really big. That's what that's doing. So let's go index refraction 1.5. Let's keep it standard. Alright, now this is a great looking glass shader, and if you want to see how it's really made, just click on it and then you can see what maps are actually in what slots and kind of break it down. You know, there's a fall off map in there at Fresnel. You know, that's how you study shaders. So I'm going to go to my parent level here and just drag that right on there, and now we have a glass shader on there. So if I render that out, it's reflecting the black background, so you're not going to see it. It's a clear glass shader. So I'm going to unhide it, unhide everything. And like I said, there's a glass shader there we don't see. But it being a ray trace material, it might reflect anything close to it. So, you know, let me just throw some kind of standard geometry in there. And I'll go, let's just take a box, auto grid it. I'm going to auto grid it right on there. And I want to back this up just a bit so if we can get any kind of, to see if we can get any reflection on those glass shaders there. Maybe we might. No, technically not from that angle, but you can see right here, there it is. You can see the reflection of it slightly, and then the reflection of the brick wall. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that, delete that out. And, you know, like I said, we can start texturing these books if I wanted to. Not that I, you know, really care to right now, but, you know, that's why we do multi-sub-object material. So in this case, I had a multi-sub-object shader right here, I believe. No, I don't. Let me see. No, I don't. It's not that big of a deal, but I could actually change, you know, this one right here. Watch. It has the, you know, it has the wood texture on it. But if I hit standard, and we're going to go to, where is it? Multi-sub-object, and I say keep old submaterial. Notice it carries that dresser one right there, so I have to actually re-drag that right back on here. So let's go here. I'm going to grab this, and it should have the coordinates still locked, so I can just drag this texture on here from here, and it should be fine. And then actually I have to, you know, grab these and drag those right back on there. And looks like I have to grab those faces, or this element. What's going on here? Hide unselected. Okay. I have to actually deselect. And let's hope. Let's see if I can throw that on there. I think I got that glass. There we go. That looks pretty good. And then let me unhide everything, unhide all, and we gotta actually fix that glass again. So I'm gonna grab that, right click, grabbing the glass, hide unselected, and I'm actually gonna click this shader. I can possibly copy it, I think. Drag copy. and possibly go in here, paste it right in there. I think. Edit. No, hold on. I might be able to click it and drag it right there, and then make it a copy. And there we go. We got the glass shader in there. So I can call this dresser, and call this whatever, glass. And I'm going to drag that right onto this. There we go. I'm going to unhide everything. Like I said, if we want to get into multi-sub objects now, we have a multi-sub object, and I can start calling this book 1, book 2, and so forth, and I can go grab some textures online, and you know, things would be you know, hunky-dory or whatever. But now if I wanted to, and this lesson's getting pretty long, I can create the bumps and the speculars for, you know, this dresser. Now the quick and you know, a dirty way of doing it is just duplicating the texture, but please don't get in the habit of this. This is kind of bad practice. I'm just going to copy these over to the bump and specs. You always want to go with your black and whites for your bumps and your, you know, your black and white levels crunched on the speculars. Alright, so I'm going to render this out. And as you can see, we got a pretty good, decent run, you know. And we went through some procedural texturing. Alright, hopefully you learned something. Like I said, the most important thing is understanding your UV map, which is in your modify list when you select an object. So let me close this out and explain that. You know, I got my dresser selected, and you have your UV, you know, mapping right there. Understand that. As well as, you know, your diffuse, specular, and bumps. Make sure you always go to the parent level when you drag your shaders on, or your maps. Alright, I hope you learned a lot, and I'll see you next video.